She started off the conversation by saying, Mom, you didn't do anything wrong. You've been a great mom.
That's how she started the convo?
I get country and I love it.
I love it for you.
Yeah.
Shoot. You were still pregnant, trying to go to the club.
Because I was still trying to be fly. With them, I felt like I could get through anything because I had just been through anything, you know? We just tried everything because she was she was a kind of cranky baby. If I do something that embarrasses them,
so be it.
I'm 71. I got an excuse.
What up, neighbor? Okay, so today's house guest is the one, the only, Miss Tina Knowles. Woo! She not only is Beyoncé and Solange's mama, right? But she's also a matriarch in every sense of the word. From creating iconic looks in music to really creating a legacy in beauty and philanthropy. She has been at the center of culture for decades. And now with her new book, she's not only telling her story, but taking us all on this journey as she discovers her own roots. And big love to Ancestry for sponsoring this episode with the legendary Miss Tina Knowles. Let's get it. Ooh-wee! On a Sunday.
On a Sunday.
I am so honored, truly, that you are here at our house. I also feel so honored to be among the very few early on before the book even came out to be able to read this stake in the ground, really, of your own personal history. And I'm so curious to know what it felt like when you closed that final page of the book.
You know, it was a relief, but it was also very nerve-wracking.
Really?
Yes, because, you know, I started on the book 2 years ago.
Yep.
And, you know, it's like having a baby. I feel
That's
like
what they say.
Giving birth because it's so personal.
Mm-hmm.
And me being, you know, private and from a private family, it's a little scary, but I feel so good about it because one of the reasons why I did the book is because I'm hoping that it will inspire other people to write their stories.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for publishing, but I was writing my story for my grandkids before I got a book deal.
Is that right?
Yeah, I started, I think maybe around 11 years ago. And I started just recording in, and I found it my own story fascinating when I started talking about my ancestors. I went down this deep dive with Ancestry.com to find out, you know, who my great parents were. And I think everyone should do that because it started off because I never knew my grandparents.
Okay.
And so I want my grandchildren and my great-great-grandchildren
to have that
history.
history.
Be able to have that history because now my mom died when I was 26 years old. And even though she and I talked all the time, there were questions that I never got to ask her. And all of my relatives were older, and so they're gone. And so I had to dig and ask questions and do all these interviews with my family. And it would just be awesome if everyone would just write their story. Everybody has an incredible story to tell.
It's true. And the thing that you learn in reading yours is the commonalities, the common themes, the common occurrences. How did you settle on the title of the book, Matriarch? How did you settle on that?
That was a working title.
Okay.
And I thought it exemplified what I was doing when I was trying to look up my great-grandmother, you know, and finding out that they were slaves and the whole history of it. And I was like, God, these women were some kick-ass women.
Right.
You know, they kept their families together even in times of slavery. And they were just so powerful. The women just stood out so much. So I started with that title expecting for it to change, but it was just perfect.
When it ain't broke, you ain't got to fix it.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, well, keeping in the Texas theme today, I figured we'd go for some sweet tea for our beverage.
I love it.
Now, we did peach as our kind of
nice.
backup character for the syrup.
Okay.
So I'm curious to know what you think.
I can't wait.
Not me being nervous for Miss Tina, some sweet tea in the backyard. I'm like, Lord, I hope it's good.
It's going to be good. I know it's going to be good. I can look at it and tell. Got the perfect color.
It's the right color, right?
Yes. It's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful
Couldn't have been more
day
perfect.
today.
Yeah, God did this just for you.
For us.
For us. I feel very special.
You know, you got to mix it
Good
up.
old Southern sweet tea.
Bam. Oh,
That's one of my nicknames too, Sweet Tea.
Sweet tea.
Yeah.
You know what? We gonna get into it because I didn't realize that you had a hand in your own name change.
Oh yeah, I did.
Here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers, indeed.
Oh yeah. All right, that's delicious.
Shoot, you heard it. We're calling this Miss Tina's sweet tea.
Miss Tina's sweet tea.
You know what I mean?
One of my old boyfriends used to call me Sweet Tea.
I know that's right. Wonder how you got that nickname.
I'm so sweet.
Okay, so we're gonna play a game with you today.
Okay.
It's called Mama Knows Best.
Okay.
And so we're taking some phrases from most people's childhood that we've all heard, and I want to know if you've got a story about it, if you've used it, and if you approve or disapprove.
Okay.
Oh, I can literally hear my mom's voice. Now, when we get in this store, you stay with me and don't touch nothing.
Oh yeah. Yes, for sure.
Approve, right?
Approved.
Were there ever scenarios where you were in the store with the girls and they tried to run off on you?
Oh yes. You know, Beyonce hid in this circle of clothes, and you know, I was
In the
trying to
racks?
trying to get the mall closed, the Penny's closed down. And they were like, yeah, right. You know, it was going out into the mall and she was
Right.
hiding. And you know what I did? I went and got her a dog leash and I put it on her little body. And my sister, I mean, they dogged me out.
Miss Tina, you did not put Beyonce on a dog leash.
I used to beg her all the time, don't hide, because it made me scared. So I was like, listen, I'd rather be criticized than to lose my child in the mall.
I'm with you there.
I called it a kid's leash. It wasn't a dog leash.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I can just hear people now saying,
Exactly.
You know, she put that girl in a dog leash.
She put on a leash. She knew where her kid was.
That's right.
So I saw this woman with her kids, and one of her kids was on a leash in the airport. And I took a picture and I said, Mom, would you look at this?
You were appalled.
I
right?
said, no, I wasn't appalled. I just was amazed that this is where she said, you had a leash?
Oh, see?
At that same airport. Because you like to walk around and talk to everybody.
That's right.
I was like, what? She was like, yeah.
Back in that time, back in the 80s, because, you know, they were snatching kids back then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she was like, you never met a stranger. So, you know, you walk up to anybody.
Right.
Put that leash on.
Is Boo Boo the Fool written across my forehead? Oh, I'm sure I said that one, because my mama always said that one.
Your mama said that too?
Yes.
I'll never forget the first time my mother said it. I was so literal.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, of course not.
No, you don't
and she
have
was
Boo
like,
Boo the Fool.
She was like, then why would you sit here and insult my intelligence?
Right.
And that's something that I remember from like a pretty young kid. Like, do not insult a woman's intelligence.
That's right. So no Boo Boo the Fool.
I love you to the moon and back, no matter what. My mom says that.
I don't know if I said moon and back, but I said something similar.
Were there situations where they feared or they thought there was a scenario where they brought to you and there was like, I don't know how mom is going to react to this?
Oh, yeah, many. Multiple ear piercings, driving fast,
Yeah.
and being very afraid that somebody was going to tell me first, so they came and told me that was Solange, because she was a little speed demon.
I was driving pretty fast, Mom, and I don't want nobody to get to you before I do.
That's right. And Kelly with using my products, because she loved to use my skincare. And
Is that
she would
right?
come and say, I admit that I use too much, and so I just wanted to prepare you. So yeah, it was always situations like that. They like to warn me, because you know I go off.
Go off
Yes.
and be ready.
That's right. Grown folks to talk and stay out of grown folks' business. Oh yes, absolutely. What black mama has not said?
You said, I need to finish that one.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I said, absolutely,
That's
yes.
right. I was told that every day.
I was gonna
'Cause
say.
I was always in grown folks' business.
Well, because you were the youngest, right?
Yes.
And so everybody was grown.
Everybody was older, and I was in their business. Even if I had to hide under the couch or whatever, I'd do it.
I mean, how would you describe you as a kid? Were you curious?
I was curious. I
Headstrong.
was wild. I was just a little bit out of control, because I
Really?
had those old parents and they were very tired. So they let me get away with murder. I just was a wild child. I was badass Teeny B, which wasn't a good thing at that time.
At that time.
But there come
Teeny
that
B.
badass Teeny B.
It's no wonder that you would then give birth to two of the most active people that we know on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The fact that your daughters can do what they do on the level that they do it, it's an energy that they're pulling from that
It's a
ain't
lot of
human.
energy, right. A person will only treat you how you let them. Absolutely, I've said that to my kids many, many times.
Have you?
Yes.
Do you remember the first time you heard it?
Even though my mom was very, very, calm, and I was very, very wild, she still allowed me to be myself.
especially as a kid, it's important to have some space
Right.
to develop your personality.
Yeah.
My mom was a strict mom, but my mom was 20 when she had me.
Oh, she was young.
So she was very, but
Yeah.
she did not play not a one game. From a pretty early age, I saw examples of her protecting me and
Yes.
the space for me to be able to blossom as a young man.
Good.
As a young person, as a creative person. Remember being in like second grade, first grade, teacher calling home and saying that I should be on Ritalin
Oh my goodness.
because I was, super active, talkative
so
in
was
class,
I. That's all the creative people in the world, I think.
right?
I definitely was ADD.
Really?
Yeah, oh, no doubt. I mean, they didn't have a name for it back then. But
Right.
I'm sure I was, but that's where all this creative energy came from. And ability to do multitask.
Mm-hmm.
And all that personality, it comes from that, I think.
I think so too. I'm still working on the multitask.
Yeah.
I like to start stuff. You know what? That's multitask. That's not multi-finish. So yeah, I multitask too. Yep. Multi-finish is when
I'm
we're
with the
finished.
teacher.
So the teacher called home and said that I should be put on Ritalin so that I'd be easier to manage in class. And I remember my mom taking me to the school where she said, perhaps the real lesson here is not that his personality needs to be medicated away,
Wow.
but perhaps the classroom can be a place where students with different needs and different ways of learning, where they can explore that. They could be nurtured in that way.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'll never forget it.
And she protected you. See, my mom wasn't a big protector. She was sort of passive.
Really?
Yeah. So I had to be, that's how I developed my strength and my power to talk
On your
back.
own.
Yeah. So you were very blessed to have that.
Yeah. When you think about the relationship with your mom, how would you describe as a young kid how that was?
Oh, God, I was so close to my mom.
Yeah.
So attached to her. Just loved her and loved, everything about her except the fact that she was passive.
Right.
And she was passive in some ways. It's very complicated. And now that I'm an adult, I understand a whole lot more than I did. Because I became a teenager and became a little resentful because she wasn't as protective as I thought she should be or as aggressive as she should be. But she was aggressive in her own way. She was always had her finger on the pulse of what was best for us.
Is there a phrase or a saying that you got from your mom, like something that she's passed down to you and that you hope that maybe your kids and your grandkids will say?
Yeah, pretty is as pretty does.
Is that right?
Yes, that
Okay.
was her favorite thing to say, which got on my last nerve. But now I said it in a different way to my kids. You got to be cute on the inside, and that's what they have told their kids, and it just passes on from generation to generation.
I also love that you're able to, in this moment in your life, you're able to see multiple generations beyond you.
Yes,
And the impact.
it's the best. Because again, since I never knew my grandmother, and my mom died when I was 26 years old, I don't have those older generations. But to carry on things that she said, it was so many things like, you want too much sugar for a dime. I say that all the time to everybody.
Too much sugar for a dime?
Too much sugar for a dime. Just think about it.
Too much sugar. You're doing too much.
Yeah. You want too much.
Uh-huh.
You want too much and not giving enough. So you want too much sugar for a dime.
Ooh, yes! If you don't think I'm incorporating that into my little lexicon, my little vocabulary, y'all about to be sick of me. See, you want too much sugar for a dime. Coming here talking all that loud, all that noise. You just add some other stuff to
Yeah,
it.
of
It don't
course.
always
Yeah,
make sense.
you have
just
to
gotta
have to add lib.
Yeah. Now listen, I'm gonna tell you this though. If you are interested in finding more out about your own roots, like me and Miss Tina, hit that link in my description and Ancestry has got you covered.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you, they hooked us up.
Yes.
Didn't they?
They started all this really with me.
Is that right?
Just being able to go back and look and find my great-great-great-grandfather in a manifest on a ship. How cool is that?
Wait,
Think
what?
about it. Yeah, on a ship coming to Louisiana.
To be able to pinpoint like actual documents,
Yes.
to be able to see and hold pieces of that history, what that stirs up in you.
I just got warm all over and I just couldn't stop looking.
And then the things you find as a result of like maybe you've always known, but then like you've got concrete proof.
Concrete proof, because people think you're making up stories.
Right. You know, like we got Indian in my family.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you probably do.
Not according to Ancestry. It's about 50% Nigerian. I was like, oh, Lord. There's a part of me that is so curious about, especially after reading this book, about the origin story of you and Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny was, ever since I can remember, I don't know how old I was, Johnny was like my hero because we related to each other more than any other human being that I've ever had in my life.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's like we just could look at each other and knew what we were thinking. My mama used to say, it's in the book, when Johnny farts, you got to be there to catch it. And that was the truth.
We want to be that close.
We were just that close.
Yeah.
Forever. And he was like 3 or 4 years older than me, but we just had so much in common. And so he was the best friend, my best friend growing up, my confidant, my support system. He was probably the closest human being to me.
In the book, you talk about feeling his presence throughout your life.
Yes.
Feeling his life force throughout your life, but in particular, the celebration of his impact in your family's life at the Renaissance concert.
Yes.
And being able to see so many people scream along with the lyrics, Uncle Johnny made my dress.
Can you imagine?
What was that like for you?
Well, first of all, I didn't know that was in the song until the record came out.
You didn't?
No. B kept it from me. And the night that the record came out, we had like a celebration in the Hamptons. They had friends over. And I was just jamming to it because I loved that song.
Right. Heated will get you
oh my God.
where you need to be.
It's just such a groove. You know? So I'm just grooving to it. And then my son-in-law says, Jay says, are you listening? And I said, and so I listened. And I was like, oh my God. And I started crying. I started laughing. We danced. We felt Johnny's presence in there.
Yeah.
And he used to always say, Mary, I was meant to be famous. And he never was. He was famous in our little town.
Yeah.
But oh my God, who would have ever thought that Johnny would be so famous?
Yes.
He knew it.
Worldwide
he said, I
famous.
I deserve to be famous. He spoke it into existence.
I think about the time in your life where so much was happening. Your hair salon, Headliners, is blossoming. The girls are in school. Your family has grown. And you were able to bring him back to live with you and help you manage all of that.
Oh my God, he did. I joke about it because we did a article for the paper for holiday traditions for families.
Yeah.
And I talk about it in the book, and my kids are saying, I was late getting there from my salon, and the reporter is like, who brought these decorations down? Because it's like, early October, and they do the articles early.
Right.
But Johnny had brought all the decorations down and put them in, and my kids said, Johnny, and they said, who made your beautiful dresses, Johnny? Oh, it smells so good in here. Who's cooking? Johnny. So when I got home, the lady said, oh, they have just been talking. You got the most wonderful husband. And I said, no, actually, Johnny is my wife.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
Because he made everything work for me so that I could work 12 hours a day and feel comfortable that my kids weren't missing a beat.
Yeah.
That's going to cook for them. That's going to make their clothes. That's going to put them to bed. If I usually got there before they went to bed to put them to bed. But if I didn't, I knew that Johnny would go read them a story.
I know that's right.
And take the best care of my kids.
What would you say is the most Texas thing about you, Miss Tina?
Probably my accent. I'm country. If I'm in Texas for 2 days, I'm saying and them.
And
Here come Andrew and them. Yeah, because it's, I just feel so at home and so comfortable there.
Yeah, relaxed.
Now, out here, people look at you like this when you say that.
And them. They're Andrew, but who's in them?
Right.
That's Sally.
But I get country and I love it.
I love it for you. And every time I see you, it's like a beam. Like you are like beaming, especially recently. I don't know if it's a matter of the love that's around you in your life, if it's a matter of the things you have let go of.
Yes.
And been able to heal and release.
Well, I'm 71 years old, and I'll tell you, something about changing, something about turning 60 happened, and then at 70, it's a real freedom that comes along with it.
For real?
Yeah, you just don't care so much about, my kids are grown, and I just always had this thing where I would not embarrass my kids. And
Yeah.
at this point, they got to deal with it. If I do something that embarrasses them, then,
So be it.
I'm 71. I got an excuse. Right?
I know that's right.
Oh, I got something for you.
For me?
Yes, here you go.
What?
So,
Hold on a second. No. Hell to the no. Yeah. Is it open? Can I open it? Can I open this?
it. I think we should put some of this in our
I think there
tea,
definitely
in our
should be
sweet
some in the
tea.
sweet tea. You tell me when to
Yes.
stop.
Okay, come on.
Sir
Okay, that's
Dave-
good.
Okay.
Ooh.
Well, she said, okay.
It's the daytime.
Sir Davis in the sweet tea.
Let's see what we got here.
Yeah.
I'm going to top it off with a
Bam.
little bit more, and then we're going to stir it up.
Shoot.
So we're not just drinking, Sir David. Oh, look. Your decanter, Matt.
See? It's like it was meant to be.
Look at this. All
Bam.
right now.
Cut to commercial. Shoot.
That's good.
Ha ha ha. Let me let y'all know something. This was not planned.
It was not planned, but I like it in the sweet tea.
But it feels like this is exactly how it was supposed to go down.
Swig it around, because I'm a lightweight
Not me.
with the... I love it. I brought a mix that that Beyoncé put together, but you can try that later, because the tea was really good. We're going to try the mix.
We're going to try to mix it, Beyonce. Let's take like magic. You just flew in this recipe. What is this?
Well, this is her recipe. That
Okay.
She plays around with all of this, the juices, and she put jalapeno in it.
This is the mix that y'all came up with. This is
that
Beyonce's
she
favorite.
came up- Yeah, this is her favorite.
Okay.
It's got
That's a lot of jalapenos.
I know. She's spicy. What can I say?
And I'm going to do this one right here. You said it's a little bit of half,
Just
you
half,
said?
yeah.
Okay.
It's good. Mwah. It's good, huh, with that little kick.
Ooh, I don't want to like this as much as I do. I want to say thank you to you. I want to say thank you to Beyonce. And I want to say thank you, God. I have an incredible Creole spread for you today.
Ooh.
We've got a little gumbo.
All right.
We've got some jambalaya, red beans and rice, mac and
Yes.
cheese. You want to eat?
Yes. Before we go, let's do a toast to Johnny.
Boom.
Woo.
Shoot, Uncle Johnny made my dress. I know you like Creole food.
Yes.
I know in particular gumbo means quite a bit to you.
It does.
So we've got some gumbo here. We've got jambalaya, fried chicken, red beans and rice, macaroni and cheese, and my favorite, the beignets.
Beignets.
But
Oh
there's
my
also
God.
peach beignets
Oh,
with peach butter.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
haven't heard of that.
Yeah, well, you know, you got a little
All right.
surprise up my sleeve too.
Yes.
So dig in, let's dig in.
All right.
Gumbo has an important place in your heart and in your tradition in your family. What does gumbo mean to you?
First of all, the mixture of so many amazing things, like all your favorite seafood, your sausage, your chicken, your spices. So other than it being delicious, it's also like this melting pot
Yeah.
of many things. And it started off with odds and ends to make something amazing.
And never quite the same
Never
any
quite the
two times
same.
you make it.
It tastes a little different each time, but it's always good.
That part. How did you learn to make gumbo?
I made gumbo with my mom. My family absolutely loved gumbo, but it was a lot of work. It's a lot of chopping. It's a lot of sauteing.
The roux.
The roux, making the roux.
Can't tell you how many times I done messed up a roux.
I know. That was the deal, that I would cut up everything and I would do everything, all the prep work, and be my mom's sous chef.
Okay.
And she'd make gumbo. And so that made me a hero in my family.
I know that's right.
But also, I learned how to make it. And so when I told my girls that, I would meet a guy and I would make gumbo, and he would say, oh man, she can throw down, she can really cook. But it was the only thing I knew how to cook. I started at the top.
So what else do you need when you got a good pot of gumbo?
Very good.
Good, right?
Yes. This the most difficult thing you can make.
What's the secret? Tell me what's your secret?
The secret to great gumbo is the roux.
Yep.
It's got to be a nice dark chocolate brown. And it's all the celery and bell pepper and onion and green onion and all the other things, very fresh. Then I use a tomato because the region that my parents are from, Louisiana, they like a little more tomatoey red.
Okay. Did you ever pass on the recipe to your own girls? Did they know how to make it?
All the time.
What you mean you try all the time?
I try all the time. I have tried many times and they are not feeling spending 2 days cooking. They are some instant girls.
Wait, Miss Tina, you haven't been able to get the lesson done because they won't take the time?
And I say, this is what I want for my Mother's Day present. I want y'all to all come cook gumbo with me. And they're like, oh, Lord, we'll just eat it. And I gave the recipe to Melina Matasuka. Do you know Melina?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, she's directed videos with
Queen and Slim.
Exactly, yeah.
I gave her my recipe. And when I tell you that my kids were mad,
how they gonna be mad?
That's what I said. So come over here and do the gumbo, and then you can be mad.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get up out of here, and y'all can't have the gumbo.
Right. You let me know how to make it. I'll make it.
That's what Melina said. This is really good.
Right?
Y'all got this here?
It's one of my favorite Creole restaurants here in Los Angeles. Stevie's is like, it's this little bitty spot, but you walk in and you immediately, it feels familiar to you.
Yeah, this
I
is
can feel
very
it.
good. I know that
That gumbo gets you warm from the inside.
Get you hot.
All right, it's all them peppers and stuff I had in my Beyonce juice. Who thought it was the gumbo? I thought it was the gumbo. We all know you as Miss Tina.
Right.
But you were given another name at birth. Celestine?
Celestine, yes, which I hated with a passion.
You just, the way you said it just then, you Celestine.
You know, it's grown on me now.
Did you feel more like Celestine was not really like your personality?
No. You know, when I was born, during that time, you wanted your name to be like Linda or Tina or something really cute,
Tracy.
Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Yes. And Celestine, Beyoncé was a lot of name for a little bitty kid.
But I mean, it's a fire name though.
It is now, but back then, not so much. I always liked Beyoncé, but the Celestine with the Beyoncé was a little bit much. And the nuns used to say Celestine. They would never say it pretty like my mom.
Right.
You know, she had a Creole accent, so she said Celestine, and it was pretty.
Beautiful.
And then I go there, and they say Celestine. And I'll be like, oh, that's just so ugly and so old.
So then you changed your name.
I changed my name. My mom was in the hospital when I was in 5th grade, and so my brothers had to take me to school, and I just begged them not to give my birth certificate and my report card. And to just say that my name was Tina. And they said no, but when they got in there, something happened, you know, by the grace of God, and they went along with it and told, we were so sweet, and we said, our mom is in the hospital, we couldn't find the paperwork. Can we bring it later? And the lady was like, yes, that's okay. And she wrote Tina. By the time I brought the paperwork in, it was on.
You were Tina?
Known as Tina.
In the 5th grade?
In the 5th grade.
Come on with a makeover.
Yes, and I've been Tina Beyoncé ever since.
I know that's right. Okay, so you know there's so much in a name, right? So much packed in what the intention a parent or parents give their children. What was the intention for you for Solange and for Beyoncé, your own children?
Well, with Beyoncé, it was paying homage to my dad. And I thought he was going to be so excited because I'm like, we don't have any boys and I want to carry on the name. And I had moved to California when I was like 18, and everybody called me at my job Beyoncé.
What?
So to me, it grew on me, and I was like, oh, they would say, oh, that's a pretty name. And I say, oh, okay. So I named her that. And my dad was not happy. He was like, that girl is going to be really mad at you because you named her a last name. And I'm like, nobody knows it's a last name but you.
Please do what you said. She going to be really mad that you named her Beyonce.
Baby going to be mad at you. You know, he was Creole. He had that little thick accent. And I was like, no. She's going to be cool with it.
I think she's going to be all right.
And I wish he could have, you know, gotten to see. I'm sure they are looking and seeing their name everywhere. Can you imagine?
Right. Now, Solange. And you've even discovered some other things about Solange recently. Oh, she had to take a sip on that one. Me too.
Yes. I was looking for my great-grandmother's name on my dad's side, because I don't know them that well. And her name was Amelie, and I found it on this chart from Ancestry, and it had that her mother's middle name was Solange. And I said, oh, this is not real. This is somebody trying to connect the dots or whatever.
Right.
Well, let me tell you how I got Solange's name. I went to Paris when I was 27. I got a baby name book from my friend who was about to give birth. And I brought the book back to her. So when I got pregnant, she inspired me to have a baby. And I got pregnant on my trip. I got back, I said, can I have the book back? I got the book back, and out of all the names in there, I picked Solange. No connection to anything other than that French baby name book.
That's it.
Named her Solange Piaget. And come to find out, my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandmother, and my great-great-great-grandmother, all their middle names were Solange.
These are women that you didn't know.
I knew my mom's all the way back, but I didn't know my dad.
Right.
So I said, people are going to ask me about my dad's people. I better learn what their names were.
Right.
And see if I can find them. So I went back, and her name, can you believe it was the ancestors speaking to me?
Oh, my gosh.
And I called Solange and Beyoncé immediately and sent it to them, and they were just in awe of it.
Lord,
and
yeah.
Solange called me back, and she was like, Mama, what kind of voodoo, Louisiana mess is this? Are you serious? Are you sure? And I was like, I'm positive.
Because she's walking around the house like,
how did that happen?
are they here?
Can you believe it? It's crazy.
It feels like in some ways like, these steps are ordered.
They're
You know what I
ordered.
mean? I read in the book that you describe your coming together with Mathew Knowles as that way. Seeing him
Right.
twice in the same day.
And I have always believed that
Fate.
sends things twice. It's happened to me so many times in my life.
Really?
And if it happens to me twice, then I think, oh, this is a sign.
Well, I love that you also say in the book, you were like, yeah, he asked for my number, but he was not my type.
Yeah. He wasn't my type.
What was the thing that brought you around?
I mean, he was a nice looking man, and he was very charming, but he just was very studious looking and very corporate. And that wasn't my, I kind of like him a little rough around the edges and a little round away.
Okay.
A little bit of thug.
Yeah, look, little
So he was
edge
very
to it.
corporate and, very suited up and used the corporate language. And I was like, oh, he's a little too nerdy for me.
So then you were pregnant with your first child, Beyoncé. How would you describe your pregnancy with her and that time in your life?
It was a tough time because 6 months, almost to the day that I got married, I lost my mom, which was devastating for me because I was super close to my mom. I talked to her 2-3 times a day. And when I got pregnant for Beyoncé, I felt like my mom sent that baby to me, like
Really?
had something to do with me being pregnant. And because it wasn't my plan to get pregnant that quick, but it was almost like somebody to love, just like, take my mom's place, to be the closest person other than, my husband, of course, just another human.
Yeah. It's not lost on me that you were also taking care of your parents.
Yeah, I was taking care of my parents. A couple years before, my parents were very ill. So my life was very much about taking care of them. And then I got married. And of course, the day before I got married, my daddy had a heart attack. And it was like watching a movie because it just didn't seem like that much hard times would happen in
Such
one
a short
person's
period of time.
lifetime.
I mean, I love that you even took the wedding party to the hospital to spend time so your father could be a part of that experience. You've now had Beyoncé. You are now the parent. How did your identity shift, your identity change, going from a caretaker to your parents to now the caretaker of this little one looking up at you like, who run the world?
Well, it was the best thing for me at that time because I think now that I look back on that time, I think I had depression.
Really?
My mom died 6 months later. I was devastated. I was so scared because my mom and my dad were my rocks. They were somebody I talked to every day, and I knew that my dad wouldn't be able to survive for very long. Losing them, I think I went into sort of a depression, but I didn't know how to identify it. And I think after I had the baby, I went through a very, very sad time because my mom wasn't there to share in that.
There's a whole bunch of stories. I'll be honest with you. There's a whole bunch of stories I want to talk about. Like you were still pregnant, trying to go to the club.
Oh yeah.
Pass out in the club.
Because I was still trying to be fly.
And in these streets.
At 8 months pregnant and out in the streets and looking like a fashion model. And that's why everybody was laughing, because they was like, that's good for you out there with that high neck dress on and that hat and being all hot and trying to be cute. Because my stomach was out to here, but I was looking very, very fashionable.
Oh no, that I know. But I thought it was just so funny the let-in of your personality of like, I'm you know what? This pregnancy is not gonna define me.
That's right. And I'm gonna still be hanging out there at the club.
There was at one point a promise to yourself that you felt like you did not want to get pregnant again.
Well, I had a hard pregnancy. I was sick the whole time. I was grieving my parents. So when I got through that, I was like, oh God, I don't know if I want to go through this again, because it's just been a lot.
Yeah.
And then that baby showed up one day. My friend's baby showed up, and I just fell in love. And I was like, oh, I want to do this. And not to mention Beyoncé had been begging for a brother or sister.
Is that right?
Yeah, she was always saying, everybody has a brother and sister but me. So she was always begging for it till she got her.
So here you go.
She was like, you can send her back now.
When did you know that Beyoncé and Solange were musically inclined?
Oh, that's all they wanted to do. I mean, they were like, even Solange at like 2 was dancing, and they just loved music.
Yeah.
And when she was like 3 and 4, Beyoncé, they're 5 years apart, they would do all these acrobatic and dances. And I mean, that's what my kids did. They didn't like to play outside. They liked to swim maybe. But other than that, their whole life consisted of putting on shows.
Right.
My husband and I used to play, he played the piano, and we always had a piano, and we sung to the kids from when they were very, very young.
Yeah.
And we played jazz all the time. I mean, that was the only thing that soothed Beyoncé. She didn't want to hear no nursery rhymes. She wanted to hear some jazz.
Jazz music?
Yes. Gil Scott-Heron, Roy Ayers. She loved music. And especially jazz. We just tried everything because she was she was a kind of cranky baby.
If jazz is what it takes, jazz was going to be.
Well, my husband used to sing to my stomach. And so this Smokey Robinson song. And so she came out loving that song. So that's how we figured it out. And then from there, he would play jazz all the time on Saturdays, and she would just be so good. Like she'd just be listening to the music. And I think that's where all those harmonies and things came in her head.
So let's fast forward now to Destiny's Child. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so much in between that time. Mm-hmm. But there is something that happens when you discover that Destiny's Child is going to need someone really to step in this space, not just as a stylist, but as for their care.
Well, there was another mother, Latavia's mother used to be the full-time chaperone because I had a hair salon.
Right.
When they did their first record, I earned my keep by doing their hair so that I could have a reason to be there.
Okay.
Just because I was pretty terrified of the music business.
And rightfully so.
Yeah, because there were a lot of things that I heard and saw, and so we were just always super protective of the girls. And so I would be there along with Cheryl, and we looked out for them, we took care of them, and we just didn't put up with any kind of crap.
The stories that you pack into this book are so emotional also. There's in particular, there's an instance where you are officially divorced from Mathew, mm-hmm. and you are having to make a list of the good and the bad to try to really kind of deal with yourself.
Yes.
And sadness and what the rest of your life is going to be.
And at the time, it's important to say that my self-esteem was not great.
Is that right?
Even though I had been in therapy and I was like, oh, I'm ready for this and I'm strong and I got it together. Once the realization and everybody's gone and you're by yourself, it's a whole different thing. And so you start questioning yourself and feeling, all those old voices come back and you start thinking, oh God, am I attractive? Am I going to spend the rest of my life by myself? Because at 59, which is really hilarious. I was 59 when I got a divorce. I felt like I was, old. And I was like, where am I going to meet somebody? I'm not hanging out at the club or at the gym. And
You said the club? I'm done with the club now.
Yeah, so where am I going to meet
You
somebody?
said the club or the gym?
The gym.
Is that-
You know how y'all meet people at the gym. I ain't going to the gym. I got my own equipment at my house. So
I know that's
I
right.
ain't going to the gym. I'm not going to the club. Where am I going to meet somebody? But
Right.
I made this list because of my therapist told me to make the list about my failures, and I did. And I made and the failures was so easy. I had quite a list on there. I was born poor. I was born black. I was born in a racist little town. Like, you feeling sorry for yourself at the time.
Yeah.
I had the hardest time writing the good stuff, but I'm gonna tell you, once you start writing that list, you get into it. You like,
know that.
yeah.
And
I did
another
this,
thing.
and I did that. And that list was way longer than the failures.
Yeah.
And it really made me feel like, Tina, if I met you, I would want to be your friend. If I met you, I would want to date you, girl.
I know that's right.
Every once in a while, you need to get a pencil and a paper, good old-fashioned pencil and paper, and write out all of your accomplishments and how badass you are. Because if you don't do it, nobody else will. And you got to remind yourself of who you are. And you got to remind other people, too, sometimes.
Say hello, because they be forgetting.
They be forgetting.
And you got to remind them.
You got to remind
This is
them.
what time it is.
That's right.
Speaking of, I want to go back to I think the year is 2003. You've got Mathew, I believe, in Europe trying to market Dangerously in Love. But it is up to you and Beyoncé to go in and have a meeting with the reps, I believe, at Sony.
Yes.
Because they believe there are 0 hits
Yes.
on Dangerously in Love.
Not one.
You can think of 5, can't you? Easily. With that scenario of having to convince them, but then Solange also comes home and tells you at 17, I'm having a child and you're going to be a grandparent.
Yes. I mean, on the way to the Grammys. Yeah.
On the way to the Grammys?
On the way to the Grammys. She picked that time because, that was a good time to tell me.
Your mind might be elsewhere.
Yeah, well, I would have to leave after she got ready to tell me, so she didn't have to hear my mouth. But
Right. In the book, you talk about how you just, at least the way it is described, it was always one foot in front of the other foot. We weren't looking months and years beyond. We was like, what do we need right now?
Yes. And what we needed right now was to tell my daughter that, nothing is a mistake. Which I managed to tell her, and that I loved her, and that, we were going to work through it.
Yeah.
And that she didn't have to make any rash decisions. She started off the conversation by saying, Mom, you didn't do anything wrong. You've been a great mom, which was so sweet.
That's how she started the
Yeah,
convo?
that's how she started the conversation. And I was like, considering all that she had been through, and you have to read the book to find out, but she had gone through
Quite a bit of loss.
quite a bit of trauma.
Yeah.
In her life, and lots of loss.
Do you find more similarities in her than you maybe thought of initially when you look back at your story?
Oh, I always feel like Solange and I are very, 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 very much alike in our younger years.
Yeah.
More so than Beyoncé.
What makes you say more so than Beyoncé?
Because I was, I spoke my mind when I was a kid. And if I didn't like something, I would make it very known. And I was, I just walked to the beat of my own drum.
Yeah.
And Beyoncé was just a lot sweeter. She had her eye on the prize, and she didn't ever let anything else get her mind off of what she was just
Laser
dead on.
focused.
Laser focused. I was never laser focused. I was all over the place. Yeah, I wanted to do everything.
Everything.
And then next week I might not want to do that.
No, didn't finish none of it.
And I was a jack of all trades. I could do a lot of things pretty good, but I mastered nothing. Solange is so good at so many things.
Yeah.
She was much better than I am, but just was good at everything. And just didn't feel like she had to make a decision about anything. She just walked to the beat of her own drum.
Could do all of it.
Yeah.
To see your children develop in arts with such dynamic individual identities in this space. Do you credit any of that with their upbringing? Do you credit any of that with...
Yeah, I do, because I really celebrated the differences in them.
Yeah.
And that's why, early on, I saw that they needed different things and that they were two different people. And so, when Solange started her career, I saw that she was different. She had her own identity, and Beyoncé has her own identity. And Kelly had her own identity, and they were just all different. And so I celebrated the differences in all three of them.
You are such a fierce protector of your children. Mm-hmm. And in the book in particular, you talk about some of the instances where the media has been less than gracious.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Right?
Yeah.
Negative, hurtful, derogatory even.
Dishonest.
Yes. And being a part of this media group, I want to apologize to you.
Thank you.
And to your family for not always taking the responsibility that I had and being the best that I could be when it comes to how we talk about people. Mm-hmm. I never forget, I had a call from Tyler Perry, unrelated, told me, was like, your power is in the light. Mm. Your force is in the light. And
wow.
In that space, you are unmatched. Don't ever feel like you got to do anything but be exactly who you are.
You are. And that sounds like Tyler.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I say all that to say, I do honestly. There have been moments where I know I didn't do my part and wanted to apologize for that.
Well, I appreciate that.
In the book, you talk about milestones, like big moments in your life, and while they were important to cover, you also let us in on them in this book. Why do you think it's important for families to know about these moments in history moving forward in their life?
I think it's so important for you to know your family history.
Yeah.
But I also think it's really important for you to impart that to your family. To your grandkids, and because some of them are going to be interested. Some of my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren are going to be interested, and some of them are not. They're going to go through life and not really care. But I think at some point in your life, you're going to want to know your history. I think especially when you have kids. When you have kids, then your mortality becomes a thing. Like at this point in my life, being 71 years old, I know I can't live forever.
Yeah.
And that I'm going to miss a lot of those kids. But they're going to have this book that's going to tell them and answer a lot of questions for them.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll even be something in this book that they can pass on to their kid that might help them navigate through life. You know?
Speaking of your grandkids, what do they call you?
They call me Grandma.
Do they really?
Everybody calls me Grandma. Mm-hmm.
Grandma?
Yeah. I love it.
What did it feel like the first time you heard it?
Oh, it was the best. It was from Jules.
Yeah.
And he was a baby, and he used to say Grandma, and it would melt my heart. It's nothing better than to hear them calling me Grandma.
I know that's right.
Yeah, all of them.
When you think about like the families that they have been able to create and to see them passing on some of the things that they've learned from you, the history they've learned from you, apparently not the recipes.
Yeah, not yet.
You know what I mean? What comes to mind for you when you see your daughters being mothers?
Oh my God, they are the best mothers. I'm so blessed because I get to witness all three of them. Kelly with her kids, she's just like so smart. I cry all the time. I'm a crybaby.
Are you?
So there will be a moment where I'll see her with Titan and Noah, mm-hmm. and just, the next thing you know, my eyes are filling up with tears because that's the proudest moment. Like people ask me all the time, what was your proudest moment? And yes, I think it's amazing that my kids are great entertainers and artists and all of that. But where I feel the most proud is when I see them being mothers. All three of them. Because that's the one thing that was the most important thing to me. The most important job I've ever had was being a mom.
Yeah.
To see that they are carrying on that legacy and being good at what they do, it brings me the most joy.
Yeah. When you see the young woman that Blue is blossoming into, do you see yourself ever?
I see myself in Blue all the time. She's a little Capricorn like her grandma.
I know that's right.
Yeah, she's a little boss. And
right.
I see myself in her all the time.
People say what is she's the manager?
She's a manager. She's my manager too.
I know that's right.
That's what they say all the time.
Now listen, we've got a little game I want to play with you, but I want to take a bite of this peach beignet first. What you think?
I want to try it too.
Okay, let's see.
These are big.
Right?
Yes.
Oh
there we
yeah.
Go.
Shoot.
Oh yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of silly.
And that sauce.
Mm-hmm. Are you doubling back?
Yeah, I'm gonna double.
I know that's right. Why would we wait so long?
We could have ate that for dinner.
Right. Okay. You ready to play a little game? Mm-hmm. Let's do it. Okay. So we're gonna, it's kind of like a game, but not really a game. But we're gonna call it Getting Rodeo Ready.
Getting rodeo ready.
With Cowboy Carter upon us very soon, the tour.
At this.
We're gonna decorate our own cowboy hat.
Okay.
Right? So here's some of the things we can use. We got bandanas, we've got stars, we've got feathers.
This is so cool.
We've got leather, we've got all kinds of stuff, right?
Yes.
And as we move along in our decoration, we'll also, answer some of the questions on these cards.
Okay.
Well, let's see if your hat fits. Let's make sure.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Howdy.
Oh, would you? No. Uh-huh. So let's see what our first questions is.
Okay.
What's a family tradition that is sacred to you and that you would like to see continue for future generations?
Tradition, I think everybody being together on Christmas and going to the movies afterwards. That is like the most fun.
On Christmas Day?
Yes, on Christmas Day, we always go to the movies and we sneak in like chocolate-covered cherries and strawberries and things like that. It used to be some chicken, but we don't do that anymore.
Y'all would sneak chicken into the movie theater?
Yeah, because it's later or just some kind of little thing, some of the turkey or something, because you go to the movies much later and you're hungry by then. You're thinking about that food.
It's true. Mm-hmm. I just imagine y'all pull up to the movie theater talking about who gonna carry the chicken? Solange, you get the chicken this time. Okay, where are you gonna go first?
I think I want with my white, I'm gonna do some.
Oh, some tan leather?
Tan.
I'm overwhelmed. I don't know where to begin. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go with a bandana first.
Okay, I like the bandana.
All of a sudden, I'm real nervous because my plan ain't turning out so good.
I think I want to do it on the suede side.
What's your favorite song from Cowboy Carter?
Oh God, that's a hard
I know it is. I know, because you broke the news about Cowboy Carter to some of us before, the news was officially broke.
I'm always doing something.
No, I think a lot of people were surprised to know that the music had existed for such a long time.
Oh yeah, it's funny because that was gonna be the first, I thought.
Right,
Things
before
are
Renaissance.
Subject to change.
Yeah, exactly.
At any time. And I'm always spilling the beans.
There was a time at Waco, it was a auction item.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, that was really bad.
Was it bad?
It was bad because she had not announced the name of the tour or anything, and I just went out there and just gave the thing away.
Okay, so
and I got the look like, are you serious right now?
Only a mom can do that, you know what I mean, and get away with it, truly.
True.
Well, so we had the auction, and I said, you could win yourself some tour tickets. Renaissance World Tour. Meanwhile, Beyonce's like,
I know, I got a lot of flack for that.
Now, Ma, we have not released.
And we haven't talked about it, so how are you going to give it away?
Give it away.
And I was like, there is no name. They announced it, though, not me. My people did.
Right.
Because I just told them, and then they announced it. And then I went out and said, oh, that's not true. But nobody believed me.
That's not true?
Oh, we don't even know the name of this tour.
She's like, nice try, Ma.
Yeah.
What's becoming immediately clear to me is that you have been a talented stylist in your life, and I, on the other hand, have just worn clothes well. So
you are doing great.
This is gonna be, you hear that encouragement? You hear that? So wait, you didn't say, what's one of your favorite songs on the album?
For sure, Heated.
Yeah.
First of all, I love the beat of it. And the fact that it talks about Johnny is,
a win-win.
You don't get better than that.
Right.
I love Protector for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Because I see, Beyonce being a protector of her kids.
A Seat at the Table, Solange's.
Oh my God, that one.
Which
one of my favorite.
Because that album for me is like quintessential.
It is
one of the best albums of all time.
I agree.
Cranes in the Sky.
Cranes in the Sky.
Baby, you put it on. I don't care where we gonna finish it.
I think that's my favorite, and then Don't Touch My Hair, of course. I'm a hairstylist. What can I say? And somebody who can appreciate you telling people, don't touch my hair. Messing up my hairstyle.
Messing up my hairstyle.
Yeah. What's something you pretend to like but secretly don't like? I don't pretend to like nothing that I don't like. I'm just honest about it. If I don't like it, I don't like it.
What's something that people might be surprised to know you don't like? I'll never forget you saying in a caption, beautiful photo of you not smiling. And you said, you don't have to smile in every photo.
Right. I don't like smiling in photos. I think that I'd rather not be cheesing. And so for a long time, I wouldn't smile because I was trying to have my model pose, that face.
Yeah.
But then after people started saying, that Miss Tina is so mean. She never smiles. Look at her. She miserable.
What?
Then I started smiling more, and now I like it more than I used to.
Than you used to? Mm-hmm. I don't like a group photo. I really don't. Like
you are hilarious.
A one-on-one, a two-on, give me 3 people.
That's very honest.
But more than 3, I just end up eyes and teeth.
That's very honest. I like that.
It don't matter who else is in the picture, and I don't like it. And people post it anyway. And you like, did you even look to see what I look like in this picture? And then you tag me?
And they always pick the picture of them that's the best, and you be looking crazy.
Crazy.
And how about those people that retouch themselves and don't retouch you?
And don't touch you not a damn.
I don't like that.
Not even a little bit.
I don't play that.
You got an eye looking over here.
That's right.
For no reason. Meanwhile,
they're like
sad.
Ooh. But my friends know now if they put a little crazy picture out there, they're gonna get a phone call. I'm like, you did not have approval for that photo.
I know that's right, Miss Tina.
I don't
approval.
Say it like that, but
you look.
I'm like, come
that's
on,
a
y'all.
subtext.
If you're gonna fix yourself up, fix me up.
Fix me too.
Don't be like that.
Hook us all up.
That's right.
What's a trait that you've inherited from your mother or grandmother?
I think a trait is to have this challenge that you can take nothing and turn it into something beautiful. I got that from my mama. I will find a way with limited resources to make it right.
I hear that.
And decorate. As I'm being very minimalistic on my cowboy hat over here.
Right, but I'm not mad at it.
It's funny because I grew up in this little raggedy house, but my mom had the most beautiful roses out front. And she always had wallpaper, and she upholstered the furniture. She just had this gift to take nothing and turn it into something. And so I pride myself in being able to do that too. I love having a budget. But when I don't have a budget, then I think that's when my creativity really comes alive. And I got that from my mama.
Where are you feeling the most alive these days?
Probably alive when I am doing a project that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And it can be anything from, right now I'm working on the tour with all the wardrobe people. And
but you're going to take this book on tour.
Fun. Yes.
I know that's right.
At the same time as B. So this is the first time somebody else in my family two of us are going on tour. My tour can't compare with her tour, but we'll
yes,
be
it
out
can.
at the same time.
I know. You said you'll be out at the same time?
We'll be out at the same time. Some cities in the same place.
You're going on in this tour with Ancestry, right?
Yeah, they're one of the sponsors.
What does it mean to you to have partners like that?
They kind of started that road for me of finding out about my great-great-great-grandparents. And if people don't take advantage of the fact that nowadays we have a way to go back and find out our history, can you imagine? When I was a kid, there was nothing like that.
Right. Where are you most excited to visit on this book tour?
On the tour? Obviously, because I'm so blessed to have Mrs. Obama being my first moderator.
I mean,
I'm
come
so
on.
excited about DC. You don't get better than that.
Right. Also, all the other moderators is like, how you gonna follow Miss Obama? Good luck.
Well, all of them are amazing in their own right.
Yeah.
Tyler Perry is one of them.
Oh, incredible.
So I can't wait for Atlanta because we're going to have fun. Keke Palmer is LA. We always have fun.
Yes.
All of them. I'm excited about all of them. It's just going to be a blast.
Is there one thing that you know now that you wish you knew sooner?
Oh, yeah. One is that I am authentically whole, whether I have a man in my life or not.
I know
And
that's
that
right.
was just, it's a shame that sometimes you got to be 70 years old to know that you are just okay, whether with or whether you don't have a man in your life, that I am enough. And, you know, do I want to have that in my life? Absolutely. But if I don't, I'm going to be just fine. I wish I'd
that's
have
right.
known that, you know, sooner in my life.
I have so enjoyed this day. I'm gonna tell you, I don't want it to be over yet. You know what I mean? I just I'm trying to find little stars to put on my little hat to dry it out just a little bit longer. Also, I realized that my little design on the back of the hat, I didn't leave enough space. Y'all, it looks so crazy. Look. I done messed it. No, I can't put that
No,
on
you
there
done
like
messed
that.
it up.
No, this
No
one.
such thing.
Well, when you get a load of this,
Let's see.
I got nervous.
Oh, it's kind of cute. That looks very Texas Ranger.
Yeah, we was getting
Finish
there.
It up. It looks like the Lone Star State.
With the circle?
Which, with it in the middle.
What y'all need to know is that they all looking at me like this. Oh, yeah, that's a hat. When I read it in the book, it was the first time I had ever known that you were a breast cancer survivor and that you had gone through the process of learning of your breast cancer and advocating for yourself and treatment and healing, and almost no one really knew.
No, just my immediate family knew. And I struggled back and forth as to whether I was going to share that because I had finished the book.
Really?
Yeah, I had finished the book. You know, I could have missed this diagnosis, and my cancer was stage 1. It was very early, very slow growing. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
But the reality is right before I went into COVID, I had a mammogram scheduled. And then they called me and said, oh, we're not taking people in, but we'll call you when we start again. And I got busy with life.
Yeah.
And then when it came back around, I thought I had my mammogram in 2022.
Yeah.
And so when they asked me, I said, oh, no, I had one in 2022. And they said, no, you actually made the appointment. And then when I got diagnosed, that it was stage 1. And then I found out that there was a stage 0. Did you know that?
No.
I didn't know that either. And I was like, if I had gone when I was supposed to go, then I probably would have caught it at stage 0. Not that it was bad, because I'm cancer-free now, thank you, Jesus.
Thank God, yeah.
But the point is I thought, what if I didn't go when I went? Because as busy as I am, it's easy to get busy. And I'm like, I put my mammogram off 2 times because I went down and went to New York, and then I went to the Hamptons, and I was like, I don't feel like going back now because I'm having a good time and all my kids are here.
Right.
You put it off, and then something just said, go and get your test. And I did, and you know, those were the results. And so I started thinking, I got to remind people how important this is and how you can slip up one little thing and wind up and have stage 4 cancer.
And not have known, not
And
been able
not
to
have
catch
known
it.
because
Yeah.
nothing is more important than you going to get those tests to make sure that you're healthy. And also the message that you have to advocate for yourself. You have to go get another opinion. Thank God my daughters were like, no, you're getting a second opinion. You don't have to do anything. You can make the decision whether you want to get hormone therapy or you want to get, you know, it's your body and you make your own decision.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of lessons in that I feel I needed to share with people so that they don't go through that.
And because this is a one question, it can seem like it was as brief as you finding out you having the surgery and you getting healed. But it was much more.
Oh, it was
than
way
that.
more. And it's all of the things that can happen because even though it's a simple, surgery and I made it more complicated by I got a breast reduction as well. All kind of stuff can go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a really private thing. So I kept saying, I'll tell about the breast cancer, but I'm not going to talk about the breast reduction because it ain't nobody's business.
Right.
It was not an easy decision for me. And I wrote about it and then took it off and then put it back in. And I struggle with it because it's really opening yourself up to mean people that might say mean, horrible things, But at this point, at 70,
baby,
I really don't give a shit.
I know that's right. I know that's
Sorry
right.
for my French, but it's no other word
Listen,
to
French is spoken
explain.
here. You get all
That's
day
right.
long. The thing that I thought that was so beautiful about it was it gave a little bit more context to your moment at Glamour Women of the Year.
Absolutely.
And that beautiful speech, but also being able to see your daughter stand up in that crowd, responding to you the way that she did. We all knew there had to be something more than this beautiful award.
Yeah.
But the things that you said about your tribe.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Like, people couldn't really imagine why that speech was so powerful for me, saying that with them, I felt like I could get through anything because I had just been through anything,
Yeah.
It couldn't have got worse than that when I got that diagnosis. And they got me through it. That's my crew.
And we are so glad for it. I have had such a day today. Y'all, we have cried, we have laughed. Truly, thank you so much for your openness. The way that you showed up today, I mean, it just really has touched me, blessed our lives for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now
This has been wonderful.
Let's see, should we
We're gonna
model
put
our
on
hats?
Yes. Okay.
Don't be mad, y'all.
I did mine backwards, but I'm going to put it on backwards anyway.
I know that's right. Because it's your style and you can. If you don't think I'm going to be at Cowboy Carter just like this, you crazy. I'm giving you a hug.
Yes, please.
Truly.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I could have
Okay.
sat there decorating that hat with you all day. That's a wrap on Miss Tina. Listen, hey, you better get somewhere and hit that subscribe button. Don't miss nothing. Hit it right now. Do it for me, do it for you. Miss Tina, you got some more of that juice?